Hey everyone, I'm super excited that you're here with us, whether you're in Eva Beach or in our Salt Lake house party. We are stoked that you're here. My name is Landon. I'm one of the leaders here, and I'm excited because we are diving into a brand new series called The King Has Come. Now, the whole purpose of this series is to kind of prepare ourselves for Easter. Easter is about a month away, and so we're going to be going through some stories about Easter just to kind of prepare ourselves for that. And so week 1, I'm speaking. Next week, Logan, my brother, is speaking. And you can see the schedule on the screen right here. So Logan's speaking next week in week 2. Week 3, we have a mystery guest speaker. Ooh. And week 4, we have a park day. If you're excited for park day, someone say, oh yeah. Now, if you've been to our park days before, you know it's a bunch of fun. We basically just play games and have fun and fellowship, and we are planning and trying to bring both house parties together on that night. So you can meet the other house parties, we can be together once again, and so it's gonna be super fun. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm gonna dive into week 1 of The King Has Come. And today we're gonna be learning about what does God really want in followers of Jesus. See, I think you and I, we have an idea of what God desires and what he wants. Like we think that God wants someone who reads their Bible. God wants someone who goes to church. God wants someone who doesn't swear. God wants someone who doesn't listen to bad music and only listens to Christian music. God wants someone who comes to called and house parties. And although God wants those things, we're going to be looking at 3 specific things from today's story of the things that God wants from his followers. See, today's story that we're going to be reading is really about Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. See, when Jesus was entering Jerusalem, he was riding in on a donkey. And so instead of talking about his entry, I kind of want to talk about how did Jesus get that donkey? Just how did Jesus get the donkey? Because the reason may surprise you. How he gets it is really going to surprise you. It's not what you think. And so we're going to dive in to Matthew chapter 21 to see what happens and how Jesus gets his donkey. It says this. It says, as Jesus and the disciples approached Jerusalem, they came to the town of Bethphage on the Mount of Olives. Jesus sent 2 of them on ahead. Go into the village over there, he said. As soon as you enter it, you will see a donkey tied there and its colt beside it. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone asks what you are doing, just say, the Lord needs them, and he will immediately let you take them. All right, I don't know about you, but when I first read this, my heart skipped a beat. I mean, I'm thinking, did Jesus just ask his disciples to commit grand theft donkey? Like, did he just ask his disciples to steal a donkey? I mean, imagine if God asked you to steal a car. You know what? Don't imagine that. And I want to show you what it would look like if God asked you to steal a car. Check this out.
So you're in? No, I'm not going to steal a car.
We're not stealing a car. We're going to borrow a car. We'll bring it back.
What if they come back?
Okay, look. We'll tell them God needs it.
God needs it? That's a great answer.
So you're in?
Yeah, I'm in. Alright, Landon, I know a thing or two now. Each vehicle has a weak spot in their doors. What I do is find where it is, put your fingers through it,
like a handle?
Open. That works too. Alright.
Hey! What are you guys doing?
Hey, look. Okay, God told us to steal your car, right, Logan? Now, I know it's a comedic way of kind of looking at the situation, but it's true. It's a bizarre moment. It's a very bizarre moment. Someone say bizarre. It's a bizarre moment that Jesus asked his disciples to do, but we can learn 3 things that God wants from his followers from this interaction between the disciples and this donkey. See, the first thing that God wants with his followers is God wants obedience. Someone say obedience. See, Jesus will often ask us to do the things that we don't want to do. God's not looking for someone who's perfectly capable. God's not looking for someone who is resting in convenience. God is looking for someone who is willing in obedience. God is looking for someone who's ready to say, I'll do it. God is looking for someone who's willing to steal a donkey. Now wait, I'm not saying that God's going to ask you to steal anything. In fact, I don't think he would. I think he did ask them to steal a donkey because if anyone questioned them, he was right there and he could kind of defend on their behalf. But it's not like that right now. But I do believe that God would ask you to do something that's going to push you out of your comfort zone, that may not bring the most comfort to you. That God is going to ask you to do some things that maybe you don't feel like doing. Maybe God's going to ask you to do and come a little bit earlier to do growth track, but that means getting here early. Maybe God's going to ask you to wake up a little earlier to spend time with him and read the Bible, but that's going to require you to be up a little bit early. And you may not want to do those things, but God is going to be pushing you and stretching you outside of your comfort zone because God wants obedience. But this kind of leads into the second thing that God wants. See, God also wants risk takers. God wants risk takers. Someone say, I'm a risk taker. See, the disciples were risk takers. The disciples didn't know the result of their actions. See, I know some pretty crazy friends. Like, I know people who would just jump out of airplanes, and God doesn't want that type of risk taker. God doesn't want a risk taker who doesn't weigh his options. God wants the risk taker who will still take the risk even if they don't know the results. They may know that it's safe, they may know that it's okay to do, but they don't know the results on the other side. God wants a risk taker and someone who's going to take that risk even if they don't know the results. See, when the disciples sold this donkey, their risk led to massive results. Their risk of taking that donkey led to that donkey being able to lead Jesus down this celebration. People were celebrating Jesus. Their risk led to massive results, but they didn't know that. And God wants you and I to be risk takers, even if we don't know what's in for us, even if we don't know if we're going to get anything out of it. God just wants us to be risk takers. He wants our obedience. He wants us to be risk takers. And the third thing that God wants is this. God wants a donkey. God wants a donkey. Turn to someone and say, be a donkey. Turn to someone else and say, you're a donkey. Yes, you're a donkey. And when I say God wants a donkey, this is what I mean. The donkey is the vehicle that led Jesus into this celebration. The donkey knew that it was important, but the donkey also knew that it wasn't about him. The donkey knew that it was needed, but the donkey also knew that it wasn't the focus. See, you and I need to be donkeys. God wants us to be donkeys in the sense that he wants us to be the vehicle that he rides on to enter your school. He wants you to carry him into your families. He wants you to carry him into your workplaces, into your friend groups, into any circle that you're in. He wants you to be his vehicle. God wants someone who's willing to do things not for the glory of themselves, but for his glory. He wants people that's going to give money to help people, not to say, hey, look what I did, but to say, hey, to God be the glory. It's all God. God wants people to go on mission trips, not to get the perfect picture to post on Instagram or Facebook or any of those things, but he wants them to go on a mission trip to say, hey, it's all God. To God be the glory. See, when you and I choose to be donkeys, we're choosing to be the vehicle that Jesus rides on and to keep him the focus to make Jesus famous. Well called ministry, these are the things that God is looking for in you and I. He wants someone with obedience. He wants someone who's a risk taker, and he wants someone who's a donkey. See, God said he's going to build his church differently. He's going to build his church with humility, with service, with love. He's going to build his church with donkeys like you and I. So as we close out tonight, why don't you close your eyes and bow your heads as your house party leader finishes up in a final prayer.